Hello, how are you doing today? My name is Otto and welcome back to the channel. There has been a lot of hype over this smartphone gimbal that I just had to buy one to test it out. And listen, I am not going to sugarcoat this. There are some things that are great on this gimbal and some other things are not so great. And for whatever reason, they're not being explained by other reviewers on YouTube. I also took the time to test both the iPhone and my Android device, and I found some limitations with both devices that you might want to know before you buy this. This is the first smartphone gimbal made by Insta360. It is called the Insta360 Flow. It has a weight of 400 grams and it will support the smartphones up to 300 grams. Inside the box, you will find a magnetic phone clamp, a charging cable, a rubber grip that you can install like this, and there is also this carrying pouch. The battery inside the gimbal will last for about 12 hours, and this gimbal charges in 2 hours. And I like that you can charge the smartphone with the gimbal with a USB-C cable. When you fold the gimbal down, this is the size that you get, which is easy to carry around, and when you need to use it, it's quite easy and quick to set up. Insta360 chose to use a magnetic clamp just like the ones from DJI, and hands down, this is something that I love to have on a gimbal. All you have to do is place this clamp on the phone, twist this arm upward, and the gimbal turns on automatically, waiting for you to place the phone just like this. The other way to do it is by first placing the phone and then twist the handle like this. Easy peasy. The Insta360 Flow has a built-in extension rod. It extends an extra 21.5 centimeters and you can adjust the angle at the top. This is great to use if you need some extra height, and it is useful for vlogging videos, group shots, or when you want to show more background when you frame yourself for a picture or a video. But you need to be aware that using this extension may have an impact on how stable your video is going to be, because there is a clear change in the center of gravity. The handle on this gimbal is way too small, even for my hands that are not too big. So at the bottom, there is a retractable grip, but this doesn't lock into position, so any kind of pressure will push it back, and it's quite annoying. Something else that doesn't feel too good is that it has a different diameter from the main handle, and because of the minimalistic design, it's not ergonomic at all. So I found that the only solution for this is to use the rubber grip, which somehow helps to improve how the gimbal feels in the hand. Now, the grip can also be extended to become a tripod. This is a great idea so people don't have to carry around an extra piece of equipment like with other gimbals. You need to extend the legs like so, but these are not rigid enough and it makes the gimbal wobble quite a bit. There is also a warning from Insta360 not to place these tripod legs in the sand, and I guess it makes sense since this will potentially jam the retractable system. Fortunately, there is a 1/4 inch thread hole at the bottom of the gimbal, so my solution for this was to use a tripod like this one. It absolutely changes the feel of the gimbal in a very good way, and the gimbal feels more solid, although it defeats the purpose of having a built-in tripod. The build quality of this gimbal is really good. I do have mixed feelings about the entire design, but the addition of details like the translucent arm are quite unique. But design is not the most important aspect. I do care more about how stable the gimbal is, and the Insta360 Flow did not disappoint. Panning with this gimbal has a huge range of movement, and this is a big plus, but I'm not so happy with the tilt, which has a more limited range of movement as you can see here. To control the gimbal, there is a trigger that will let you start or stop tracking, recenter the camera, or flip the camera around. At the front of the gimbal, we have a joystick that will let you move the phone around, but Insta360 chose to have a simple click-style joystick, so when you move it to either direction, it's just going to be a simple movement at the speed that you set inside the settings. If you compare this to other gimbals that have the same price point, they all have a joystick that is sensitive to how much you push it, so the movement of the phone is proportional to the force that you apply on the joystick. Another downside with the joystick is that it is not omnidirectional, so instead of being able to move in different directions, it will only move up, down, left, or right. On the control panel, we have the power button. 4 light indicators at the top will let you know the gimbal mode that you're using, and it can also let you know what the battery level is. On the left, this is the shutter button to start or stop recording, and on the right side, this button will let you change the phone orientation from vertical to horizontal mode, or you can also use it to change from the main camera to the selfie one. All this black area is touch sensitive, and using your finger in a semicircle movement will let you change the gimbal mode. Clockwise will go to the next mode, and counterclockwise will go back to the previous mode. It's really nice, but the joystick gets in the way most of the time, and if you find yourself having trouble with this as I did, you can change this function in the settings to use these 2 buttons to change the gimbal mode instead. So if I tap here twice, it goes to the next gimbal mode, and if I tap this other one, it goes back to the previous mode. This over here is a ring that will control the zoom. This is a great position that will make it easy to access even if you are left-handed. Besides the basic gimbal modes that you get, this gimbal can be used in the sport mode. They call this Active Plus, and this will make the gimbal react faster to your movements when you need to capture fast-moving subjects. You can also take low-angle shots by flipping the gimbal upside down. An Inception mode will make the camera spin clockwise or counterclockwise, but because of the design, it will have a limited rotation, and at some point, the camera will see the arm of the gimbal. One of the things that I really enjoyed about this gimbal is the app that you can use to control it. For me, the interface on the Insta360 app is very clean. Everything seems to be in the right place. You can customize different settings. Gesture controls do a great job, and for advanced users, you can even use a histogram. Users that like to vlog will be happy to know that you can flip to the front or back camera when you're filming. And the best part of the app is perhaps the tracking feature that it has. It is fast, very sticky, and it works really good on the iPhone and on Android devices. If the person is lost, the app will wait for that person to show back into the frame. And when this happens, the gimbal will keep tracking him or her. If someone different pops into the frame, the gimbal will not track this other person. This means that the app can actually recognize the original subject that it was tracking in the first place. All of this is a big deal because most gimbal companies are still having problems or limitations when it comes to tracking people. I may not like a lot of things about this gimbal, but I have to admit that the tracking is a clear winner. This tracking also works outside of the Insta360 app. It seems to be compatible with these apps, but you need to be aware that the Insta360 app is going to be working in the background, and it's using the broadcast feature on the smartphone, and all of this consumes a lot of battery. The Insta360 app will let you take regular videos, slow motion, pictures, time lapses at 4K, and time shift, which is a hyperlapse, also at 4K. Panorama shots have this new 360 sphere type of picture. You can also create dolly zoom videos, and there is this widescreen mode that will make your videos look more cinematic. Let's talk about limitations. If you have an iPhone, you cannot select the white balance if you are using automatic settings for your videos. I feel that the white balance should not be attached to manual settings, but it is what it is. If you have an Android device, you will not get the option to make videos at 60 frames per second. There is also no manual settings, and the only setting that you can change is the white balance. You also don't get the slow motion, and the selfie camera doesn't support 4K, so it's only 1080p at 24 or 30 frames per second. On the iPhone and Android devices, beauty effects will not work if you're using 4K, and you can't zoom in or out if you're using the selfie camera. In conclusion, this might not be the best gimbal out there, but it is on my top list of smartphone gimbals to consider. And now that I think about it, I want to make it clear that There is no perfect gimbal, and companies like DJI, Zhiyun, and so on will need to step up with their gimbals, otherwise Insta360 is going to be number one for sure. The link to this gimbal is going to be down below if you want to check the current price or if you want to buy it. I hope you're having an amazing day, and I hope to see you again in the next video. Bye.